physical organ energy. Some doctors do. I don't know anyone in California who does it. I know some of the European doctors do this type of treatments. Hey, I did good. Well, Freud says that the basic theory belonged, Reich says that the basic theory belonged to Freud. But I furthered it so much that he himself could not recognize it. So this is the end, and I hope that I gave some understanding of Reich. Connie is the president of the iOS, and if you want to talk, say a few things, you are welcome to talk about it.
Dr. Simone, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
Dr. Reich was trying to accumulate this energy, but this energy is probably in a form of radio frequency, which he was trying to accumulate. There was recently, just last week, something in the 2020, I don't know, some of you probably watched it. A guy who had a leukemia did some experiment in his own garage, created an instrument which with radio frequency he was trying to kill the cancer cells. And basically there are right now research going on in MD Anderson on the basis of this theory that this radio frequency waves can kill the cancer cell, and that maybe have some helpful prospect for the future of cancer therapy. Now, I don't know how these two are related. Do you have any idea whether this is the same thing, or, I mean, we are talking about different radio frequencies and different energies and different, but do you think they may be related?
Well, yeah. Do you want?
I'm not. I know when Reich developed his concept of orgone energy, he felt it was essentially comparable to maybe some older concepts of ether, in that it was a medium on which electric and magnetic phenomena would manifest themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But he did say that it had an inherent quality of pulsation.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly that pulsatory rate is extremely variable.
Right.
And I mean, and in fact, he didn't define the energy in terms of its specific pulsatory frequency. And radio waves, if I'm not mistaken, are a specific frequency bandwidth, right, or range.
Right.
So yes, you could say that maybe it has a direct relationship to orgone. But again, I think that he would have conceived of radio waves sort of manifesting in the orgone energy field. Now, the orgone energy field is maybe now being named different things like zero-point energy field or plasma field. But actually, zero-point energy comes closest to this idea of an orgone energy field, actually. And I know that there's there are people doing research in areas, I think, of dark energy and dark matter, and that also seems to bear a lot of resemblance to his basic theories of orgone energy. But orgone energy was he felt it was basically obviously I want to say you can't really call it a substance because it doesn't really have matter. So it's often difficult to describe in terms that we find very easy to comprehend in a sense, because there are certain limitations to our language. But it basically would be essentially like an ether on which all things manifest, and it was would be absorbed or held by organic substances, would tend to be attracted and then repelled or conducted maybe through metallic substances. So we found that if he layered materials of a thin layer of organic next to a thin layer of metal, thin layer of organic, thin layer of metal, and make many, many layers like this together, he would find that the energy would tend to be absorbed by the organic layer and conducted through the metallic to the next layer of organic, conducted through, would tend to move spontaneously in the direction where there is generally higher energy concentration or gradient. And most things that were living, all things that are living already had to have an inherently higher energetic charge. So that he basically, his concept of orgone energy was an energy that was anti-entropic. It would tend to organization as opposed to tend toward disorganization. So those are maybe some of the differences between orgone and essentially radio frequency treatment, but that's not to say that there aren't relationships, connections. I know there's a lot of very interesting research going on in treatments with more subtle energies, I think these days in general. But if that helps at all. Unfortunately, there's been very little written about orgone physics. And Reich, when he died, a lot of those books in particular were destroyed. And most of his writing was in the form of research journals. There was maybe very limited distribution among those scientists who were interested in his work, or physicians largely. And they're extremely rare. You might find a copy in a library somewhere, but there aren't that many floating around. And that's when he really developed a lot of his different experiments that he conducted using these accumulating devices that would establish an energy gradient inside the accumulator that would be of a higher tension value than surrounding the accumulator. And then in that space, he could test Geiger counters or electroscopes or vacuum tubes and see how they behave differently within the accumulator compared to the surrounding atmosphere.
To measure this, yeah.
So,
my second question is regarding libido. Is that true that a deep sorrow, such as loss of a loved one, would increase libido? And if that's the case, what's the mechanism? Like, for example, somebody lost, one of the loved ones and is in deep sorrow, and it seems that the period of mourning increases the libido. Is that, or sexual desire, basically?
No, I don't think so. I can later on talk. Deep sorrow, the healthy organism should be capable of experiencing sorrow and sadness as it is, and be tolerated, mourn for it, and then also be able to experience pleasure, but not substitute one thing to another, because that seems to me more of, again, not allowing himself to feel sorrow. The organism has to be capable to feel sorry when there is something to feel sorry for, and then to feel happy when there is something to feel happy. So it's the concept of contraction and expansion that Reich says. That mechanism might be already in an armored organism who is unwilling or unable to tolerate the sorrow, and that substituted that. I don't know if anyone else has a comment about it. Any other questions? Do you want to say something?
no, I thought you explained it well.
Okay.
I got
Yeah, sure.
a question. I wonder, because I just experienced all these things when I was young, when I was seeing a girl, I would get palpitation and sweating like that. After marriage, I still get sometimes this palpitation, but it is not sexual, I think. You consider all the neuroses on the basis of the sexuality, or other factors are there that influence the problem? Yes, you are right. I've experienced some of the things that you said, okay?
Yeah.
But are there other factors that would cause a neurosis or neuropsychosis?
Definitely.
Except this.
Yeah, but that the accumulation of the energy is what energizes those other conflicts and keeps them alive. If that conflicts are not energized because of the armoring, then the conflict will lose its energy and will will not be a problem. It usually stays alive when the energy source is blocked and energizes that conflict in the wherever unconscious. Yeah. Yes, please.
Stefan, thank you very much
Sure.
for illuminating a lot about the life of Reich and what he did. I found it very interesting on many levels, and I've got a couple of questions.
Definitely.
And one comment I'll make later. What is really interesting to me is he was persecuted.
Yes.